Yeah, I'm back, but also I'm black. Hey, what is up, everybody? Yes, it has been a year. I've been paying attention. It's been a long time, so I threw my intro in the beginning. Hello, everybody. I hope you're all well. It's me, it's Malcolm, and today, I want to go on a bit of a rant. And I didn't know what my first video back was actually going to be. However, I did not want to come back and start posting videos without kind of getting this kind of video out the way. So I do have my phone with some notes here. I don't have many notes and this video should not be long. However, I do want this to be my first video back. So if anybody has any questions about where I stand or my beliefs or anything like that, this video is kind of like a bookmark to show that you are in a safe space. We are going to talk about a little bit of politics here and there, but that's not going to be the main thing about this video. It's more so I wanted to talk about a trend I've been noticing with influencers and just their lack of caring about the people around them. And it shouldn't surprise you that with the way, especially in the United States, where everything's kind of crazy right now, we have a president that openly hates trans people, and I just don't understand how we got here. I mean, it's kind of obvious that we got here with racism, misogyny, homophobia, transphobia, like all these things got us to where we are today. But I do want to touch on some things because I have been noticing from an audience perspective that a lot of fans of some of these content creators are kind of confused about where their favorite stands or what their favorite content creator believes in. Because pretty much I have noticed all the way back, even during the pandemic times and the Black Lives Matter protest times, I have noticed this trend of influencer apathy just shooting up. And I don't know if it's because influencers are just making it more known that they don't want to be relatable anymore, or they don't want to think about anybody but themselves anymore. So let's just put this into the category right now. If you are someone that has been watching your favorite influencer, and then especially with this past election cycle, if you have noticed that they have been posting differently or they are kind of saying things that are making you uncomfortable, it could be pretty much put into like any of these categories. Either one, they fully support what's going on. That's pretty much the obvious one. Or it doesn't really affect them, so they don't care, which is another theme I've seen some influencers just straight up just kind of admit to. I'm also not going to give like super specific examples because this kind of is like a broad, not necessarily generalization, but it's just a pattern I've noticed with influencers that don't want to talk about world issues. Let's just be clear. I'm not saying if you're an influencer, you have to talk about world issues. However, if your audience is asking how you feel about Palestine or how they feel about, the trans community in the United States being affected by the Trump administration, or the ICE raids that were happening in Los Angeles, and not just Los Angeles, the ICE raids are happening everywhere. But I do know that it was kind of like a trend that when the protests in Los Angeles were being televised, you could see what's going on. Some influencers made it very clear that they didn't want to talk about it, or they fully supported it, and they made it very clear. And there were some people, especially Los Angeles influencers, that pretty much had this attitude of, oh my god, I wish you guys would stop being so negative on here. Can we just start talking about positive things? And I do want to say, if you are someone that says politics don't affect me, or this situation doesn't affect me, or oh, who cares if this person said something racist 5 years ago, can we just move on? You are adding to the issue at hand, which is a lot of people, especially those with public figures, just seem to not really care as much as you would think. No, don't get it wrong. There are plenty of influencers that have spoken out and said their piece about what's going on. But I do have to say, why are some of you guys surprised that Jeffree Star is a Trump supporter? I'm not even trying to like be funny. That man is as racist as and transphobic as they come. So he's like the perfect candidate to be a MAGA person. I don't know why that shocks you. But anyway, yeah, or the situation with James Charles and Kayla Malik a few months ago, where Kayla Malik had an abusive ex-boyfriend, and James Charles was like sliding into the DMs and all this stuff, and Kayla made it clear, in my opinion, that she told James Charles that her ex was abusive, and James Charles did not care. You could also see in his comments on his TikToks around that time where he was liking comments giving him support, and he wasn't addressing it for like a while, but he was clearly seeing all the comments and he was liking things that gave him support. And I just thought that was like, you're just throwing it in everybody's faces that you don't care. And then only when he started losing money and started losing followers, that's when James Charles spoke up about the situation. So it's more so, we're gonna, like I said, we're not just going to talk about politics. We're gonna talk about a lot of things, but not a lot of things. It's more so like, I have like 6 talking points, and then I will post like my regular content like I always do. But like I said, I wanted this to be the first one, to be the staple as me coming back. So let me just make this clear now. If you are a trans person, you are welcome here. If you're gay, if you're a minority, you are welcome here. I don't want anybody to feel like they're uncomfortable parading on this channel, because I feel like racism is not up for debate. And if you're going to try to debate me as a black man about race, it's not going to end well for you. Because racism is not up for debate. Human rights are not up to debate for me. Trans rights are not up to debate for me, because everybody deserves rights. Except if you are a racist, or a PDF, or a transphobe, or a homophobe, or anything that is just like rooted in racism and bigotry and misogyny. I'm not comfortable with those kind of mentalities around me. Also, I'm not a political channel, so if you are going to say something racist or anything of that sort in my comments, I'm just going to block you. I'm just straight up, I don't have time for that anymore. I'm 31. I'm not going to go back and forth with a teenager or an 18-year-old about race. I'm not going to argue with a man about women's rights, because women should have the right over their own body. I don't think the government should have say on what a woman does with her body. That's just, I don't know why these kind of things are up for debate. Like, it's gotten so bad to the point where people are now trying to say slavery wasn't that bad, and they don't understand why you would rather die than be a slave. And I'm just very confused how we got here. I'm not surprised how we got here, but let me just kind of go from where I've noticed this shift. And pretty much I've noticed this shift during the COVID times, like I said. Mostly the pandemic parties that influencers had. I don't know if you guys remember, or if it's just like escaped your memory because it's been so long, but you do remember there was a time where influencers were like sneakily having parties during the pandemic when we were supposed to be on lockdown, and they weren't wearing masks, and people kept catching COVID from other influencers. Like, it was a whole thing, and every time an influencer would get caught, you could tell that they were annoyed that they got caught and not that they felt sorry. And you could just tell by their demeanor that they were so bothered that people were upset, that it's like, oh, well, why are people upset that I'm having fun? And it's like, no, you're just like leading a bad example, especially for someone with a young audience, because at that time, we were still not understanding how bad COVID really was. And it was really devastating in the end. And it's still happening. Like, people are still catching COVID. It didn't go away. And I don't know why people are acting like it did, because people still catch COVID daily. But that's neither here or there. But I just remember like the slew of influencer apologies where they only apologize after getting caught, and then some of them even like went out again and went to more parties. So it's like, no, you obviously don't care, and that's fine. Of course, some people are like, oh, it's not a big deal. And I do need to say this before we keep continuing. If you keep saying there are bigger things happening, or I don't get why this is a big deal, or are you really upset about this, or you said anything of those phrasings, you're gonna kick the can down the road to the point where you will hit the end of the street and you can't kick the can anymore. So if you're gonna keep saying there are bigger things going on, why does this matter, X, Y, and Z, don't be surprised when that influencer does something to the next level and you're shocked. That's all I'm going to say about that, especially when it comes to racism, because I've been seeing some influencers get called out for racist tweets and racist things they've said in the past, and you just have them being like, oh, well, it was a long time ago, and all this stuff, and I'm just very confused, because it's like, do you feel sorry, or are you just upset that somebody brought it to light and the video they made about you went viral? I've noticed this happens on TikTok a lot more, where influencers get exposed for terrible behavior, but also those videos also get suppressed super fast because TikTok, I don't even know, is the ban still happening? Is it not happening? I don't know what's going on with that anymore, but it is getting to a point where, like, calling people out, people are tired of seeing people get called out, to the point where people are like, yeah, they said something racist and I don't care. The reason why racism is running rampant, especially in this country right now, and this is my personal opinion, the reason why racism especially is running rampant in this country right now with no repercussions is because, especially my generation, I'm 31, so like the millennial generation, I've noticed that we especially have had this mentality of, oh, well, it's not that deep, or, oh, well, I'm a black person and it doesn't bother me. But you're not the spokesperson for that group that is affected. Like, if you're gonna say, oh, I'm black, so it's okay, you're validating someone's racism for the sake that you're a fan of them. Does that make sense? Or if somebody says something sexist and you're just kind of like, oh, well, it wasn't that bad because X, Y, and Z. You're giving that creator way too much power over you as an audience member, because if they do say something wrong, or if they do something incorrect, you can bring it up. Now, it's on the influencer themselves to be like, okay, I really need to reflect on why this was bad, and I need to address this, and all this stuff. I'm gonna bring up a situation. I don't know if people know who this is, but his name is Joey Swole. He is a fitness content creator. Mostly his content is centered around safety around gyms, especially with people that record in gyms or like have these situations that happen in gyms. I follow him because I did somewhat like his takes on, hey, maybe you shouldn't record in the bathroom because, one, that's violating people's privacy. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I agree with that kind of stuff. So I follow him up with that. However, I did notice that he would talk about women like with like this vitriolic passion that he never gave the same energy to men. So I quickly picked that up and I was out. Like, I stopped watching his videos because something about him just like seemed off. And just bringing up a recent event, Hulk Hogan, who was an ex WWE superstar, he passed away, I believe, like a month or two ago at the time of me recording. Let's just put it out there. Hulk Hogan was a raging racist. So, of course, when Hulk Hogan passed away, a lot of people didn't blink an eye, or a lot of people just didn't care because why are we mourning racist people? You can say, oh, they had a family, oh, they were a Christian person, this, that, and the third. But at the end of the day, racism is not up to debate for me. If somebody was a vile racist in life, just because they pass away, I'm not going to shed a tear for them. So this Joey Swole person, who's white, decided to post a tribute photo to Hulk Hogan. And of course, a lot of his fans, who seem to be, I want to say, left-leaning, liberal, whatever you want to call it, they were very upset. So fast forward, Joey Swole, like, he got really upset that he got called out, and he was like, I'm leaving the internet, I'm done, goodbye, all this stuff. And I'm just like, okay, dude, whatever. Then he comes back, and then he doubles down, and he's like, well, why don't you ask the colored athletes, blah, blah, blah. Well, hold on. So basically, Joey Swole, this guy was on a live stream, and he brought up colored athletes. And I didn't need to hear anything else, because if you're going to refer to black people as colored, that pretty much tells me everything I need to know about you and your personality and how you are off the camera. So I didn't need to hear anymore. He definitely doubled down, and he was like, I'm just not really, he basically said, like, I'm not sorry, and I'm just gonna keep posting, which he went back to posting. There are some people that were like, wow, I guess I just have to deal with it, which you do not have to deal with it. If you find yourself watching a content creator and they do something that is offensive or something that you don't like, if you want to unfollow them, if you want to block them, you can do that. You don't have to sit there and kind of take it for the sake of, oh, well, nobody else posts this kind of content, so I'll deal with it. I also noticed that with Colleen Ballinger. I don't know if you guys remember who Colleen Ballinger is, but just like a quick refresher, Colleen Ballinger, who's also known as Miranda Sings, was exposed for just being inappropriate around minors, putting minors in like really dangerous situations, especially during her shows. And for all intents and purposes, I think Colleen Ballinger is like fully canceled. Like, she still posts videos, but she's not getting anywhere close to the same amount of views. And remember the whole toxic gossip train video where she kind of like did a ukulele song and it was like really cringe? So I think about stuff like that, and you can just tell from her response that she didn't feel bad, she didn't care who she affected, she made it about herself, she made herself the victim. And then, like, I want to say not a majority of our audience, but a lot of our audience like checked out, and I don't want to say she's struggling for views because she's getting way more than me, obviously, but you can tell there was a significant dip in the views on her videos, to the point where it's just kind of like, I don't know how she's making her money at this point. I'm just being honest. So that's kind of where I have been noticing all the trends of influencers, especially ones that get caught in problematic situations. They just have this attitude of like, why am I in trouble? This isn't a big deal. Yeah, so Joey Swole, yeah, red pill boy. I don't know why that surprised. It didn't surprise me. It's just like, when I heard the way he talked about women in videos and talked to women in videos, I was just kind of like, I kind of got the ick, and I was like, out. I have this like weird, I don't want to say it's like a power, but I have this like weird thing where I can look at an influencer's page for like 5 minutes and I can figure out like, oh, this person definitely does not care about anybody but themselves, or oh, this person definitely supports all the cruelty that's going on in this country. Let's just talk about this a little bit. Debate bros, whether you're on the right or the left, everybody annoys me, because you have people on the left that make constant TikTok lives being like, hey MAGA, you're dumb, and then you have people on the right being like, hey liberals, you're dumb. It gets to the point where it's like, it's been almost a year since the election happened, and if you're still doing the same debate topics for content, and it's been almost a year since the election and you're doing the same talking points, I completely check out. Like, I'm all about politics. If you want to talk about politics, do that. But if you're going to sit there on TikTok lives for hours and just spew propaganda, especially if you're on the right, because the right spews so much propaganda that it's very nauseating. Like, there was a situation that happened recently where the trans community is being heavily targeted by all these accusations, mainly the one where Charlie Kirk, I don't know if you know who Charlie Kirk is. He was a far right neo-Nazi dude who basically was spewing racism. He was spewing transphobia, homophobia, like the big three, right? So there was something that happened in Utah. I really can't say because I'm on YouTube, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. But basically, people like myself and like mostly people in the black community were like, I can't shed a tear over a white supremacist, and I still haven't, and I'm not going to. And then you have white creators who claim to understand what black people go through, are trying to make now black people feel bad that we're not showing empathy to a racist. Let me just say that again. We have white creators who claim to understand racism and all this stuff, who claim to hear black people's voices, are turning around and saying, hey black people, why aren't you upset that the white supremacist is gone? And I'm not gonna lie, I'm very surprised by how many of those creators specifically said those kind of things, to the point where I was like, okay, I blocked and unfollowed a lot of people this week alone based off of that, because again, you're not gonna make me feel bad or show any empathy for a white supremacist. Like, yeah, he had a family. Yeah, he had a kid. A lot of bad people in this world have family and kids. I don't understand why that is like the shield for criticism. I don't understand that. I'm not going to talk about that anymore. It's just, that's something that got under my skin and made my blood boil, because why are you trying to make the black community feel bad about that? You see what I'm saying? But you're gonna say that you understand the black struggle, you understand how racism has affected this country, and then you turn around and say, how dare you not feel bad? So I'm gonna stop talking about politics, because I want to move on, because I have like a couple more points. This one is more so content creator-esque, which is sponsorships. So obviously the big one that happened very recently, I want to say, has it been a couple years now, where Michaela Noguera, who did this whole ad for L'Oreal, she did the lashes, she did a cut, and it was like, look like different lashes, and ever since then, the integrity of influencers that take sponsorships has been in question ever since, on a bigger scale. It's always been like that though, because I follow a lot of gaming channels, and through those gaming channels, some of them do play games that they are sponsored for, and you can tell that they don't like the video game that they're playing. They're just playing it for the required amount of time to get paid for that sponsorship, and then they never play the game again. So it's nothing new that influencers take sponsorships for things they don't really believe in, or things that they don't care about. And sorry, I don't know why my computer popped up. That was weird. And we're just kind of like always asking questions about, do they really like this product that they're talking about? Do they not like the product? Are they only getting paid to say something good about the product? Which, spoiler alert, a lot of them are. I don't know, again, that should not surprise you. When it comes to if you're going to take money to sell it to your audience to get a commission, or however it works, or whatever that company asks you to do, it does get to a point where if I see a sponsored ad somewhere, I just kind of skip over it at this point, because I can't trust it. I don't know what to trust. Like, if I have to sign up for something, I'm not doing that. If I can see the product without any kind of financial commitment or anything like that, and like a content creator wants to sponsor it, and or if a content creator goes, hey, you don't have to click my link. If you just want to check out the product, you can do it this way. If you don't care about giving me commission, I appreciate that kind of stuff, because it means that you're not necessarily doing it for the money, but also like you don't want to lie to your fans. So I appreciate when content creators do that kind of stuff, right? I'm seeing more and more when it comes to the content creator sphere. I'm seeing a lot of AI videos. I don't know what that's about, and maybe I can make a rant video about that, but we're not going to talk about that right now. But I'm just thinking about AI videos, and I've seen so many, especially on TikTok, to the point where people are believing AI videos, and I don't know why I'm feeling like we're getting very close to a dystopian level here, where it comes to people not checking their sources. Because if you're sharing a video that is clearly AI, but you have 10,000 people that believe that video that is clearly fake, now you're muddying the waters with what's the truth and what's not the truth, right? So yeah, just wanted to talk about sponsorships and just kind of like I don't know what's going on with that. It just seems like a lot of these influencers never tried the product. I don't know, maybe try the product first before you review it. I don't know, or just don't take the sponsorship. I don't know. If I get it, you get your bag, whatever, but I feel like lying to your audience about a product that you don't even believe in, I do think there's a moral compass to that. Again, I can't get much deeper into it than that, because that's just how I feel about that. Yeah, so we talk about politics, we talk about sponsorships, hanging with problematic people. This is going to be a short one, because I think it's pretty obvious where I'm going with this. If you see a content creator that you like, or an influencer that you like, that is hanging out with somebody that has known allegations or has done racist things that they've never taken accountability for, it does get to a point where if they are constantly hanging out with them, if they are constantly giving them shout outs, and you have people in their comments, and this is specifically for content creators that have people in their comments saying, hey, why are you working with this person? Just letting you know that this is what's going on with them, this is how they're problematic. And I would see like multiple upon multiple comments, right? And people just don't care. Like, the influencer just doesn't care. Like if I see an influencer hang out with James Charles, I'm like, yo, what's going on here? One that didn't surprise me was JoJo Siwa. Her hanging out with James Charles, that doesn't surprise me, because she hangs out with Shane Dawson. So JoJo Siwa is like anti-cancellation. I don't know, because she supports Colleen Ballinger, she supports James Charles, and she supports Shane Dawson. She's not cutting off any connections, bro. So like, if you find one of your favorite content creators hang out with somebody that you know is problematic, and they're like giving them like constant praise and things like that, and then you see in their comment sections people calling it out, but the creator ignores it, but you know they read the comments, because they would like, especially on TikTok, they would like comments, because you can see when an influencer likes a comment on TikTok. So you can just scroll down and you can see like 5 negative comments calling somebody out, and then there's like that one comment that gives that influencer praise, and the influencer will like that. So you can't tell me that influencers don't know about like the problematic things that they are involved in or the problematic people that they are dealing with, because they read their comments. They read what the audience is telling them. So, or even if they have a team, somebody sees the things that people are saying about whatever situation it is. So if you find yourself in a situation like that, again, it is up to you what you want to do. If you want to stay there and just kind of deal with it, that's on you. I will say the reason why everything has kind of like been met with so much apathy lately is because there's like a majority of people that say, hey, we know this is bad, but we don't care because XYZ. So again, that is up to you. But if you're wondering how and why things, especially in America, have gotten to the point where they are, it is because there are groups of people that just don't care. And when those group of people do not care, the influencer notices that. And as long as the majority of their fans are okay with it, they're okay with losing 10% of their audience. They're okay with losing 15%. As long as they keep the majority, they're cool. You know what I'm saying? So, lack of accountability. My last talking point. Lack of accountability. I think I already kind of touched on this way earlier. If you can tell an influencer doesn't care, or if you find yourself begging to know their opinion on world topics, and they still want to just ignore you, like I said, your favorite influencers, a lot of them read the comments. So if you're saying, hey, how do you feel about women's rights? Or my favorite one was, who did you vote for? Because there's always like, I remember, especially during the election time, it was like, people were like, hey, who did you vote for? And like the people that weren't ashamed of it was like, oh, I voted for Kamala Harris. And it was just like the easiest question of all time. But then you had the people that voted for Donald Trump, and I noticed this trend because it was just so funny. It was always the same excuse. It was either, oh, I'm not really into politics, or oh, I'm not really into that. I'm just thinking about like the positive stuff, or like, oh, well, I think both sides. Oh my God, this one drove me nuts, right? Oh, both sides are the same, so I really don't care. I'm just going to let you know now, both sides are not the same. Please don't let anybody try to gaslight you that both sides are the same when one side has extremists supporting them. Please don't do that. Please don't fall for that. Don't let somebody make you feel bad for not wanting to associate with them because of who they voted for. Because it's not just, oh, it's just a difference of opinion. No. Difference of opinion is, oh, I like pineapple on pizza. Oh, I don't like pineapple on pizza. Difference of opinion. If somebody says, hey, racism is bad, and the other person says, oh, I don't think racism is that bad, that is not a difference of opinion. That is someone that is just complicit with racism. You see what I'm saying? So don't let anybody gaslight you that your opinions on world values are wrong. If you think, like I think, I don't like ICE. I don't know, like ICE, I think is an evil organization. I don't like how they treat humans and put them in chain and shackles. I don't like that. It makes me feel icky. I hate it. I don't like it. The obvious transphobia in the government right now, I hate it. I don't understand it. I don't like it. The obvious racism, of course, me as a black person, I don't like it. It does get to a point where it gets very frustrating to see that things that were like open shut discussions, like racism, like, hey, racism's bad. Okay, racism's bad. Like 10 years ago, it feels like that wouldn't be something that be talked about. But now it's like, oh, well, racism isn't that bad because, and I'm like, no, I don't want to hear it. I'm good. Thanks. I'm all right. You see what I'm saying? Because if white supremacists support one side and not the other, and you're just kind of sitting there being like, well, it's not that big of a deal, you are being complicit with that behavior that you're on the side of. And that can go for both sides of the lane. Like, if your favorite, like, oh, let's talk about this one. Let's talk about this one before I close it out. Like, Chris Brown, right? A lot of people just started hating Chris Brown again. And I was very confused because I was like, I thought we were hating him all the time because of not just Rihanna, but like multiple women that he's affected. I think a lot of people forget that it wasn't just Rihanna that Chris Brown harmed, right? So people are like, how do I put it? There are just people that are like, I'm very confused. Why do all these women support Chris Brown? And honestly, I'm a guy. I'm not gonna speak on that. I just noticed those comments, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I just know, as a man, I would never support like an artist that put their hands on a woman, period, end of story. So I just thought, that was just something I was thinking about. But yeah, I think I have rambled on a bit. I think I've kind of said my piece about whatever's going on in my head. And yeah, I think that's about it. So, once again, it is Malcolm. That's me. Sorry I've been gone so long. Long story short, after the election, my depression just shot down into the depths. But that's not why I was depressed. I'm still very depressed. Yeah, but it just didn't feel right making content at the time, where, especially even now, it just feels kind of weird to make videos knowing that the world is just on fire. Like, and I feel like it's just going to keep getting worse and worse, but I feel like one day humanity will get past this. Now, will it be 3 years from now when Trump is out of office? I don't know. Will it be 10 years down the line when kind of like the remnants of everything that's happening now goes away? Again, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in the next couple years, but I do know that humanity finds a way. And I do believe this is just one of those times in history where the books are being written about us. So that's kind of where I'm at mentally. I'm going to start streaming. I stream video games on Twitch. If you want to follow me on Twitch, you can do that. Yeah, I really don't have much to say. So once again, it's Malcolm. That's me. I just wish you well. I wish you good health. And I will see you again next time.